All right, in this quick screencast, I'm going to go through the process for setting up the golden triangle of Active Directory authentication and Open Directory management with OS X. So I've got two virtual machines here. I've got one on the left, which is going to act as my server running OS X server, Leopard. And then on the right, this is going to act as my client, even though it's also running OS X server, just because of the limitations of VMware. Or the licensing. So what I'm going to do to start with on the server is just get it bound to Active Directory. You'll see it's already got Open Directory running, although that's not a requirement for this process quite yet. So I'm going to bind to a.umn, and I've got a machine name for this virtual machine. And hopefully this will bind. Okay, we are now bound. Now, if you weren't running Open Directory already, you'd want to go into Server Admin and set this machine up as an Open Directory master as well. In this case, we'll double check, but we should already be running as an Open Directory master. Indeed, we are. So I'll quit out of Directory Utility, and now I'm going to go into Workgroup Manager because I want to set up some groups that'll be managed locally. So I'm going to go over to Groups, and I'm going to create a new group, which will be, let's see, we'll call this our awesome users. And I'm going to go over to the Members tab, and now I want to add some members from Active Directory into this Open Directory group. So I just click on the plus sign, and then change to Browse the Active Directory. Now, it gets a little tricky in Workgroup Manager because you don't get any progress indicator to tell you that it's doing anything. But right now, it's going out and querying Active Directory for users. I'm going to just skip over that, and I'm going to just search for myself via X500. And again, this takes a little bit of time, and because there's no progress indicator, it can encourage you to just give up, but if you wait long enough, you'll see the user pop up there. So that's great. I'm going to add myself to the group and just click Save. And now I'm going to go over to the Preferences tab for this group, and I'm going to apply some preferences so we know we're actually working. And the easiest one to do is to use the doc. So I'm going to just modify this doc, maybe get rid of a few things. Let's see, we'll leave just system preferences. We're going to make sure we don't merge it. We're just going to overwrite the doc, and then we're going to make the doc really big, and we're going to put it on the right side of the screen. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to hit Apply now, and that's it. We've got a group set up with my X500, and it's in Open Directory. So now we're going to go over to the client, and we're going to bind to both the Open Directory machine and we're going to bind to the Active Directory machine. That shouldn't matter too much. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is actually bind to the Open Directory, and I'm going to double check my IP here. Okay, 128.101.96. And we don't need anything special there because we're binding anonymously. And now we're also going to bind to the Active Directory domain. Okay. And you'll see we also have OD running locally on this machine. Just because it's OS X server on the client, you wouldn't have that, but that shouldn't matter one way or the other. It just means we'll have some local users as well. But that won't cause us any trouble, so I'm going to log out from my local user now. And I'm going to try entering my X500 username and password. And there we go, we're logging in. So we've authenticated against Active Directory, but now we're pulling all of that information from Open Directory. You'll see we got our customized doc over here on the right with really big icons and just system preferences. And we can now use all the management features within Open Directory to do all kinds of other cool stuff, to create groups, to manage computers, and everything else you get with that cool facility.